got a rockin' pneumonia and a boogie-woogie flu. Monster loving, baby, that ain't all. I wanna kiss her, but the gal's too tall. Young man, rhythm got a hold of me too.
There's no intro.
We don't have one.
No, I don't think we've ever had one. And the
No.
real problem is we're going to need one.
What?
Sometime soon.
You think so?
Yeah.
I did not realize that with the changes that are coming, that would be some of them.
There are changes a-coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I realized, and I love talking about movies. I don't often decide to listen to myself talking about movies. That's right, everyone. I love to hear myself talk, but not secondhand. And, you know, I've been thinking about, like, the future of this show and just randomly I don't know why. I was listening to a previous episode of this show.
Yeah.
And realized at, like, number 14,
Mm-hmm.
which is more than half of the life of the show ago, we were talking about how this show was not long for this world.
Yeah. What are we at now?
34.
Yeah. Right.
I think.
Uh-huh.
And so that wasn't true. That was
No,
wrong. I was wrong.
We didn't know.
But maybe we should lean into that and invest in that and make this its own show.
Mm-hmm.
Because this show, I realized, not self-aggrandizingly, just realized that we have literally been talking about films throughout the entire existence of this ersatz quarantine that's been going on.
Yes.
Saying they're for your quarantainment.
Yes.
So clever. It's so clever. Oh wow, we're just so clever. But going past any point of anybody believing that we should still be quarantined, even though we should. What we believe doesn't matter.
Yeah, probably.
And thinking it's time to make this show honest.
Yeah.
It's time to do something with it. And so we are transforming this show into its own show.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been here for 7 months.
Yeah.
Doing this, giving you talk, worthless as it possibly may be, about cinema.
Yes.
When we can't watch cinema.
In a cinema.
And every day I'm going about my business and I realize, like, the shock of the death of a loved one, that I can't see movies in the theater.
Yes.
And every time it hits me in my chest like a punch.
Yeah.
And if anybody gets anything out of this show in terms of appreciating cinema, loving cinema, missing cinema, we have to keep doing it.
Yeah. I agree.
No matter the restrictions, no matter, like, wherever you live, if you have to wear masks or not, if you can't go out or not, if you can do whatever or not. I don't know what it is state to state, but we're going through this thing. It's continuing. It's going to continue. We were all wrong. Whatever our intentions were about how long this would last, it's still going. It's going to keep going. And all we can do is support each other and just keep the faith, if you will. Keep the rules, the conscientiousness about how harmful it is.
Right.
And trying not to, hurt ourselves, hurt other people.
Yes.
That's all we can do.
Right.
And so, since we are just in a hot room here together, and we can send something out to you that maybe if you're getting on 5G, I don't know how the rules work, but it can infect you. All it can do is just infect you with love of cinema.
We hope.
And so we got to keep doing it.
Yes.
And so, for that reason, we're going to spin an entire new show off of it, containing all the shows, the podcasts that we've already done for this.
Mm-hmm.
But COVideos will be its own thing soon.
Yes.
And so, if you've been listening, keep listening. But, you can go to our Spreaker page. Maybe in the future we can talk about links or somewhere that you can find it. But this will be its own show. It'll have its own feed. It'll be on iTunes, Google, whatever's, Stitcher. We're gonna make this into its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so updates on that as that progresses. But yeah, we're locked in.
Literally.
Well,
maybe we should be literally.
It's not a lock. A junior higher. I just feel like every week I say, I don't know how long we're going to do this. And I got my answer until it's over.
Yeah, right.
We don't know
when that is.
No.
There's no way to predict.
And we watch Dr. Zhivago.
That's the last episode?
I've talked about it.
You have talked about that before.
You should have already
going to hold out for that.
Matched me with that and picked your own final film.
I'll have to think about that. I don't have one for you. Well, I didn't know that we were going to be talking about this.
I talked about this weeks ago. You think that would have inspired you to say, yeah, think about the movie that I'm kind of worried or hesitant to watch because of the importance of it, or just whatever.
Like I said, I'll have to think about it. So I don't have anything for you.
You should have been thinking about it.
Yes, I understand what you're saying,
That's
but
my
I
point.
didn't. So let's move on, shall we?
Hey, man, I didn't do my homework. Screw you. That's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, Teach, why don't you climb up on top of your ruler and sit on it?
Look, we didn't sit down and be like, now you have to pick one, or you should pick one,
It was
or
implied.
you should think about it.
It was implied.
Not really.
Just so you know, we'll be spinning this off so you can hear us argue forever. Not about important things, not about movies, just about the putting together of the show.
No.
Which one person is committed to, the other person, not so much.
What? Come on. That's not fair.
No, who's dummy?
Yeah, all right.
No,
Great.
who's dummy?
Yeah.
The movie I picked is 1999's Cradle Will Rock.
Yes.
A movie that is still in the high 60s on whatever your rating thing is.
Yeah.
And I would say to them, what's wrong with you? I get not being a theater kid.
Mm-hmm.
I get not understanding the importance of theater, and a movie which, you can watch other films that have to do with theater or acting or whatever, but let me tell you true, and I think my broadcasting partner is going to pick up where I leave off, but few films or filmed entertainments communicate more or better what it is to act and to do something. And I don't mean, I can't remember my lines, or where do I go in? I mean, like what it means.
I want to be a star.
What it means to do that.
Yes.
And how, and many actors don't ever experience this, but how experiences, circumstances, situations can affect what you just wanting to do it, and things getting in the way of it, or the strange significance that can just arise emergently when you're doing just some dumb show, and then suddenly it means way much more than you thought it possibly could.
Yeah.
And that is all tied up in a movie which will experience its 20th anniversary in December, which will be after the election. And so currently I'm weighing how we tackle this on Just Enough Trope.
Oh.
Before the first Thursday in November, probably. Maybe it will have a point. I feel like it'll either be quaint or more important than ever after the first Thursday in November. But but we're talking about it right now on this show, which is separate. It's a separate show. So who knows? Decisions will be made. What happens in Cradle Will Rock?
Oh, so much. This film takes place in 1936 in America, and it's it says at the beginning it's mostly based on true stories. But there's a lot of different things that are happening right now. There is you're gonna have to help me with some of the names. The Federal Theater Project. Thank you. Wow. Federal Theater Project it has been doing theater, but they're helping support actors and people who do theater who have been out of work, largely because of the Great Depression. And right around the same time, later on in the film, they are bringing people in. They're trying to find communists.
This isn't like the HUAC hearings that people would think of, like the Red Scare,
right?
Tail Gunner Joe, Have You No Decency, Sir, of the 50s. This was going on for a while.
Yes.
And so, it's more, it's in the 30s. It's the precursor to that.
And, really, really horrible stuff. It also...
Led by Harris Yulin. God, I love Harris Yulin. He's alive still. I could get him. I'm going to get him.
Okay.
I'm going to get him.
Oh,
for my Star Trek
one of the
show.
Guys on the court? Yeah.
The judge in Ghostbusters 2. If we need a white judge, because it's not progressive and it's not a Hispanic female judge, I'm not complaining about that. Just when you see a judge or something, it's a black or Hispanic female. Fine.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, an old-timey judge, get me Harris Yulin.
Right.
A guy who was a Cardassian Nazi on DS9, get me Harris Yulin. Love Harris Yulin. Very small part in this, however.
Yeah. Was he the Four Lights guy in Travel?
No, that was David Warner, who also...
Okay, which Cardassian was he?
He was the guy that he ran the Galatep camp, and Kira, they got him. They didn't capture him, but they just got him because he's like, this is a Cardassian who might have been involved in the war. And then later on, Kira finds out that,
but he's not who he
oh
says
my
he
God,
was, right?
this guy was like the Mengele of Cardassia, and he's like plays into it. And then more spoilers. It turns out he wasn't that guy. He was just some nobody, but he pretended to be that guy
because he
had this weird obsession about the Cardassians being punished for what they did to the Bajorans.
Yes.
Watch DS9, guys.
Yeah, DS9 is great.
Stop movies. Make a DS9 movie. We talk about DS9.
Yeah. It's a
like
huge cast. I know.
10 minutes of the movie. Come on, get it done.
Shush. And Hank Azaria is writing a play, a musical.
Hey, homo, we're going bowling. Yeah, right.
And it's about prostitutes and unions and capitalists and
Steel.
Yeah.
Mr. Mister.
Yeah, Mr. Mister, which I thought was great. And his inspiration is Brecht, which I think is great too. But anyways,
he knew Brecht.
Yeah, he knew Brecht.
Yeah, he produced.
Oh, right.
He produced Threepenny Opera. I mean, look, if you just skip to 31 minutes if you don't care about old-timey theater. But yeah, he knew Brecht, worked with him, and he produced Threepenny Opera off Broadway. I don't know if there was ever an on-Broadway production of Threepenny Opera, but off-Broadway seems like the perfect way to do it, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I was in a production of Threepenny in college.
We know that.
Oh, do we? Anyways.
Don't we?
I don't know, but the play gets approved by all the stories are interconnected, but the play is going to be directed by Orson Welles, who is incredibly eccentric and yada yada yada. Let's see what else is going on. There are some ridiculous rich white people who have lots of money and literally have rich white people problems and throw their money around and are kind of ridiculous. The wife is cooler because she likes theater. Anyways, and there's a weird protege guy.
They're rich, but they're also steel magnates who are hanging out and talking to
Hearst.
No, not well. Yeah, Hearst is there, but also Nelson Rockefeller,
Yes,
and
Rockefeller,
then
yeah.
also Margarita something, who is
Yes.
the American envoy of Mussolini.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep. And also, Rockefeller hires Diego Rivera to paint a mural in the lobby of his building.
real mural.
Real mural.
Yep.
Frida Kahlo is also there, kind of in the background.
A lot of little drop-ins by famous people.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. You're burning time.
Am I? Oh, and then there's another lady who works for helping people get jobs in the Federal Theater Project, who is super excited about speaking at the communist hearings because she thinks that there really are communists in theater, and she thinks that they should not be there.
Right.
And there's a ventriloquist too.
And dating Negroes.
Right.
And being anti-fascist.
And being anti-fascist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
When Tim Robbins, who, let's face it, this movie is stacked with the Hollywood left.
Yeah.
To the point, right?
Yeah.
When I say Hollywood, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
To the point where Joan and John Cusack are playing the bad guys in this movie that is pro-union,
Yep.
pro-left, pro-anti-fascist,
Yes.
everything you want. That was all that was left. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I mean, they could have been like, oh, I could play Orson Welles. No, you can't, John Cusack. But John Cusack was smart enough to be like, all right, fine. I look like a white, oppressor. I'll play Nelson Rockefeller. Fine.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
There's another movie, actually. I can't remember what movie it is, but no, you know what? It was Frida. I think it was Frida. The scene where Rockefeller goes to
God, it's been so
talk
long since I've seen that
to,
movie. Yeah.
Diego Rivera
Yeah.
and be like, do this mural for me and make it fun.
Yeah.
That's essentially that exact same scene happens in Frida.
Right. Well,
but
something very similar must have
I
happened.
think it's Frida.
Uh-huh.
And I am Jack's complete lack of concern about the left in what's his name? Edward Norton plays Nelson Rockefeller,
Oh, right.
and it's like the exact same scene.
Yeah.
But anyway, this movie is about the one time in history when the government, the U.S. government,
Yes.
decided that theater was
Yes.
important enough
Yes.
to fund.
Mm-hmm.
And it immediately was torn apart
Yes.
by Republican senators
Yes.
who didn't like what the theater was coming up with because
Too powerful and scary ideas.
Mhm. And if
Yeah.
you didn't get it, my one drawback to the movie, remember one time when the movie's like, all right, movie, all right, you're drunk, go home, is in the third act when all the capitalists get together in their Louis the 16th costumes
I will too.
with the stick-on
Yeah.
moles,
Yeah.
and they're like, we can support theater, keep it non-political, keep your politics out of my Star Trek. Why are you making it political?
Right. We don't want politics in our art.
Yeah, because artists are whores. We'll just
Yeah.
give them money. It's
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. But we were tracking you up to this point. At this last point, you're like, oh, all the leftists are drunk on what we're giving them. Now we got to reach the real audience and go,
Yeah, right.
oh, fuck these guys. Like, what?
It's like we all got it before. I know. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
like and then like Hearst
But they're
was
all
like,
going to a French Revolution costume party.
I know, and then Hearst was like dressed as like a cardinal too. I just was like,
Yep.
oh my god.
Yep.
Oh my god.
And Marion Davies is literally like Maria Antoinette.
yeah. Yep.
This movie literally starts. This movie is about theater.
It is.
It's about theater of the time, but it's about theater in general. And when the producer is fighting with the director, and the actors are all like, "All right, whatever," and the one guy who should probably retire already, but is so
Yes.
old, but he's trying to remember his lines.
Yes.
You've been there.
I have.
I would say that we've all been there, but like you've been there if you've done theater.
Yes.
It literally starts on stage, and fittingly in that, the main character, or ostensibly the central thematic character, is not an actress, but she's sleeping, on a pile of curtains
Yes.
or just tack, like backstage, and they're broadcasting newsreels.
Yes.
Narrated by Tim Robbins, writer and director. On reverse,
yes,
on
I liked that they did that.
The screen that they are making the theaters into, movie theaters.
Yeah.
But it literally starts on stage.
Yes.
And ends on
backstage,
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
backstage. Yeah. And I thought that was really amazing. Angus McFadden, who does not. Where is this guy? This guy is incredible. He was the bad guy in Equilibrium. Don't worry about it. A movie nobody saw that Emily Watson was in, by the way.
Honestly, I like Equilibrium. I think it's underrated.
Later on they got boop, 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 boop. One of the SVU shows, Ding Dong, 7.62.
I got nothing. I got nothing. I want to help you. Give me something to work with.
I don't. He was look. He wanted Sugar in Men in Black. I can't remember. I don't do names anymore. That my brain is too gone. But he wanted Sugar in Men in Black. Now you know at home. Who I'm
the
talking
alien
about.
guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in Ed Wood. He was Orson Welles, and they got Maurice LaMarche or whatever to do his voice.
Yes.
In this, they just cast Angus McFadden, who is, what's his name, right? Like he's a Scottish actor or whatever.
Yeah.
But just nails Orson Welles.
Yeah. Just very eccentric, passionate, and crazy.
And it's a film where there's great dialogue, but it's clear. I actually think that it was all. I mean, Tim Robbins wrote this, right?
I think so.
Tim Robbins.
I don't think this was ad-libbed.
Whatever you think about Tim Robbins, he definitely channeled himself and his politics into a couple films. Mm-hmm. He didn't direct or write a lot, but Bob Roberts, which one day we might do on this show, I think it was probably all written, but he clearly gave the actors latitude to do stuff.
I think so, yes.
And there's a lot of scenes where we're just kind of moving around and things are happening, but all the actors are yelling at each other or complaining or following their sort of North Star from a dialogue perspective.
Yes.
And I just really impressed by Angus McFadden, a guy who in Orson Welles is mad about this new, and I'm presuming it's new, but new thing with unions in acting.
Yeah, right.
We're in the middle of a scene here, and then Jamie Sheridan's like, that's break, 10 minutes, smoke break.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then when everybody finally comes back, or he finally comes back because he stormed off the set, they all have to go through this lecture where he's like, we're making art here, people. We're channeling emotions and we're doing stuff. And it's not about now I get to take a rest here. There is no rest when it comes to birthing art.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, fine. Can we start rehearsing again, please?
Right.
Yeah.
I know, and he was like, well, if that's what you think, that it's not really in your blood, and it's not, it's not really. Yeah.
We're doing Macbeth with Negroes here.
Yeah, I know.
Come on. And that's what's on display. That's what's on sale. But the things that are behind, the little parts just steal everything.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie Elwes.
Oh my God.
Is not the hero of the film.
No.
But he is the producer.
Yes.
And he steals the show. He steals every part of it.
He really does.
With everything he does.
He nails it.
And they go to the 21 Club, and they're, and it's ostensibly so we've hired Mark Blitzstein. I'm Orson Welles. I'm half in the bag, and I love your show.
Yeah.
And we're going to do this. It's about unions. But Mark Blitzstein's like, oh, great, we're at a super rich Manhattan club. I'm a communist. You think I'm going to like this?
Right.
And they start having a sort of friendly, well-intentioned fight at the table, and as they're doing it, and then Vanessa Redgrave, the Countess,
yes,
who is completely oblivious to her wealth and privilege.
Yes,
she's an ally, I guess. Everybody,
right? She's
like, "Oh my God, Orson Welles is over there." She's like, "What are you guys doing?" And Carrie Elwes is like, "We're establishing an interminable relationship for our creative process."
I know.
Yeah, it's just he totally steals it. this movie is so early and so crazy that Paul Giamatti is like in the second round of alphabetical billing.
Yeah,
he's not even in
I
the
know.
main thing.
No, because early
and
for him
he
in some ways.
and a film that is not afraid to criticize artistic personages. It's not afraid to humanize people who are like, I don't like these Negroes dating white people.
Right.
You know, there is no real quote unquote bad guys in this, but there are good movements and bad movements.
Yes.
And Joan Cusack, no matter how heartfelt she is about what she's doing the wrong thing.
Yes.
And the movie knows that, and the people who are cast in the roles opposite her like know that. And so we can't hate her as a person, but it's like, honey, you don't get what's going on here. You don't understand.
You don't understand.
Yeah.
And I think even when she goes to work like the next day after giving her testimony, and like 20%, they had to cut people 20%, so they couldn't hire anybody that day,
Which can't be totally attributed to her, but at the same time, yeah,
like right, it can't be totally attributed to her, but your actions have consequences, and you can't. Okay, fine, you said your truth, but you know what? Our truth is not paying attention to you, is not is giving you, like, letting you know we don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're not supporting us, so why do we have to support you?
Yeah.
Wow, that I don't know.
It's
that
a time-
anti-fascist one really stung. Really stung.
Oh, but dating Negroes? No,
Well,
okay.
no, that stung too, of course.
It's a time of art and politics.
Mm-hmm.
And we're launching a show based on communism, comrade. I'm just saying, like, it's a time of art and politics, and it's weird to think that even in the late 30s, nearly 100 years ago, 90 years ago, a bunch of old white guys would look at some plays about beavers and say,
yeah, right.
you
Children's
are
plays.
in the wrong and criminal because of the things that who is this Aristophanes and where can we find him?
Right.
It's terrifying to think how far we haven't come since then.
Yes, that rang true. Very true.
And
this.
this is full on liberal, and I want to say left, but I really want to say liberal, like liberal NPR tote bag latte liberal.
Mm-hmm.
But the themes are left. How much you do or do not commit to them.
Mm-hmm. And
this was made in 1999, where we had a Democratic president, and we didn't know what we were getting into.
9/11,
and we didn't know.
Speaking of, today
what we would
was
get
just
into
around the corner.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And it just makes it like this movie could have faded away, but I don't know why people aren't talking about this movie. It's more relevant than it's ever been.
I think that people don't remember
now that the cops are the Pinkertons.
Mm-hmm.
The Pinkertons were hired for and worked for the interests, the capitalist interests. Now the cops just do that.
Right.
Protect that property. Get in front of that Foot Locker, and when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
Right.
Mark Blitzstein would throw up on your pants.
Yeah.
If he hadn't been murdered for being gay in the early 60s.
Awesome.
Yeah. Can't happen here, though.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Well, I mean, I just wanted to... Diego Rivera's, like, mural. Oh, my God. Like, so much stuff going on in it. But, like, like the... protesters, well, they weren't even necessarily protesters, were they? Well, no, they were labor union workers being attacked by police. Something else that we're seeing today.
Yeah, Ruben Blades plays Diego Rivera. That all really happened. Rockefeller hired Diego Rivera to do a mural in Rockefeller
freaking waste
Center, and he didn't like it. And I'm sure it was probably protested. I don't know, if it was like that, but
right.
And they, destroyed it all. I don't think they left a single syphilis cell.
I did like
a little
that
more thematic than real, but yeah. And
I mean, okay, he put freaking Lenin on
yeah, but
in the mural, but,
yeah, but there's workers there. There are cops beating down strikers. Like
I know.
I like how Lenin was the focus.
Right.
We can't have this face on there. And he's like, look, I'll put Lenin over here. I'll put Abraham Lincoln over there.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to, but that's what you want, I guess.
Right.
But
Lenin stays.
That was not okay. There's a line in the film, or actually in the musical, about how it's like things are getting up there and like, you know, it's the thing you never care to see until there's a showdown. And that's just like Minneapolis, early June.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't, it's all, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Let's just blow through the rest. We're over time here.
Okay.
So,
I've got a couple other things I want to say.
Okay, me and then you, and then me and then you, and then me and then you, and then probably me at 20 times. I liked how at the birth of my son, his family comes in to see the baby, John Turturro, who talked to that guy too. This is so great.
Why isn't he more in more stuff? I guess he does a lot of stuff with the Coen brothers.
I don't know.
But
He's in a ton of stuff, but yeah mostly Coen Brothers stuff.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, we love the Shadow. How come you aren't the Shadow? And he's like, that's not how it works. And they're like,
oh, I liked that.
You're lazy.
Too.
You should wait on a line. And he's like, you read for a part. You audition for a part. You don't wait on a line. Like, I've had that conversation with my family many times.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, I understand too. I really liked Sherry Jones in this film a lot.
Why isn't she in more stuff?
I know. Well, apparently she was in The Handmaid's Tale, and she's running a couple of Emmys like recently. And she was in Succession, and like, so she's doing stuff and everything. But yeah, she should be in more stuff because she's fantastic. And I'm assuming the role that she was playing, who is the lady who is in charge of the
WPA.
The WPA. I'm assuming she was a real person.
Yeah. Federal Theater.
Yeah, Federal Theater Project. I'm assuming she was a real person.
Yeah.
I thought the character was fantastic too.
Yeah,
like
and
somebody who's like a real,
and I don't know if
very
Tim Robbins
passionate
would
and enthusiastic and
yep
wanted more.
I don't know
theater.
if Tim Robbins would agree with this or wrote this way, but she was like the perfect liberal. Like she would have the biggest tote bag because she's like, sure, let's get this play about beavers. It's just about beavers, and it's like it's about beavers grabbing guns and forcing the other beavers, the capitalist beavers, out of the. Are you this naive?
Yeah,
I think her naivete was part of the character, and it was perfect. But it's just so, she would if Cherry Jones's character was alive today.
Is it Cherry Jones?
Yeah, Cherry.
Okay, I thought it was Sherry for some reason. All right,
maybe
Sherry.
It's pronounced Sherry. I don't know.
Okay.
If she was alive today, that character, she would be like the person on Facebook that's like, we get it with the liberal memes. Maybe I'll just mute you for 30 days. Do you know what I mean? I felt like her and her little cadre of like bespectacled people were supposed to be like the voice of reason, but I just saw like the voice of like a Sorkin show where it's like, this is the way it should be, and it's like, but it's not that way.
I know.
It should be that way.
Yeah.
But you just going, they don't get it, is not that leads to Donald Trump. Let's skip to the end. What'd you think about Tenacious D having a funeral for a dummy in modern Times Square?
I was gonna say, when you were talking about the thing that was too much for you was the end with the rich people being all like artists are whores. That was kind of the thing that was too much for me. Like, I think
I've never seen a show on Broadway.
Yeah,
you have.
I have
several.
Yes.
And so my thing is that a moment of triumph where they go, we thought theater, that was it, but guess what? Here it is. Or, because it couldn't be them, this isn't also a funeral for the Great White Way, like, look at the M&M store, what's happened here? It has to be celebratory, right? Like, it has to be like, but look at it now. Now you can see Cats. Now you can see Sunset Boulevard every day on Broadway. Because, and we all argue, look, here's the thing about any communist group you go to, they're all about to kill each other, right? Because they're all arguing different things. I would argue, is that good? Like,
I would argue that too.
Is you reviving Miss Saigon for the 10th time really honoring the beavers.
I think I might have mentioned this on something before, but I love Phantom of the Opera, and I saw it on Broadway, and it was tired.
Yeah.
So that might have been what they were trying to say, but
I
it's
think
so
that's what
freaking somber.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to say, that we will, we shall overcome. But, this is 1999. It's pre-M&M store, but the thing that you're placing end the funeral somewhere else. Like don't go to Times Square. Come on. I don't know. That's the one thing that doesn't age well for me.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little much
They've
to
launched
do
a
the funeral anyways.
A ship that will sail directly to the theater playing The Lion King.
Yeah.
All right, we're done.
Wait,
moving on.
No. One more thing.
Also, look, we just did a movie about a woman testifying for a congressional panel who had to be careful about what she said, and they're like, "Oh, so you play this movie about people rising up? That's okay?" And she's like, "No, I would stop at the overthrow of the U.S. government." And they're like, "Oh, you just do it by degrees then?"
Yeah,
and she doesn't
right.
say anything, and I'm like, "Is this Hillary Clinton?
Oh my god!
Is that what we're doing here?" Because the point is that liberals can't meme, and they also can't respond to completely stupid questions like that. Which is, so what you're saying, Senator, is you think that art can express ideas that you don't agree with. That's what you're saying, right? You love blue, so no art can be red. Is that what you're saying, Senator?
Right.
But they never do that.
Because they think that not responding is the best response. And it's not. No,
they just think that responding in a way that, acknowledges either consciously or unconsciously they can't subtext. Mm-hmm. That's why they can't meme.
Okay.
We need to move on.
Can I say one more thing before we move on? So they're told that they're barred from the theater. They can't do onto this show. And then Hank Azaria is going to do the entire show by himself. And then one by one, all of them stand up and they do the show. And it's just...
I cried all the way through it.
It's so moving.
Yep.
It's really powerful. And it reminded me of why theater is so important to me. And why I,
as long as it doesn't advocate for the overthrow of the U.S. government.
Right.
What was your movie?
Well, my movie was quite different.
Can you believe we left 20 minutes for Yojimbo?
Is it only 20 minutes?
Yes.
How did that happen?
Because we were talking about the Cradle will rock. Tell us about Yojimbo.
No, that's your job.
But you don't... Okay, yeah, well, let's get to it. We don't have time.
Yeah.
Yojimbo, 1961. A Ronin, that is a samurai without a lord, walks into a town and finds out that it's a pretty weird town.
Yeah.
The guy that ostensibly runs the town, that's a crime boss who brews... No, he basically owns the silk production of the town, is being confronted by another guy who brews sake and has opened a gambling den, who wants to take over the town as well. And this Ronin goes, a lot of people need to die here, and plays them both off of each other, yada, 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 a conflagration that will raze this town to the ground, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
We have talked, maybe not on this show, definitely on Just Enough Trope, but before, about how this is essentially an adaptation of the Dashiell Hammett novel Red Harvest.
Okay.
This is a noir novel.
Yes.
Where
I think you talked about it on Backtracking.
Thanks for the plug.
Yeah.
Where Akira Kurosawa is like, "It's a great story. We're going to do it. You want to sue me? Fly over the Pacific. Let's do this." And just did it, basically. And it was so good and so successful that it was essentially re-stolen for a fistful of dollars. The spaghetti western starring Clint Eastwood that literally features the line, get 4 coffins ready. Sorry, I guess I should have been 5. The man with no name wanders into a town that's being controlled by two different crime lords, basically, and plays them off each other, yada, yada, yada.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Nice. Fantastic. Just absolutely loved it. The entire thing, like Kurosawa, is his style is iconic, right? And like he has his just the way he tells a story through cinema.
1961, this movie came out.
Yes.
And when you watch it and you think about like, okay, so like 1961, like, you know, black and white. We're not even to The Odd Couple yet. That's 67. Just going off the movies we talked about on this show.
Yeah.
Roman Holiday was in the 50s, right?
Yeah.
His possession, like his self-possession of the camera and what he's showing you,
yes,
and where it goes and the angles are unbelievable. And he was doing that in 1950 when he made Rashomon.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing things
yes.
that American directors could or wouldn't do for years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's like this guy was born with a camera. I pity his mother. But it was a dolly shot, though.
Oh, stop it! Great visual, like we were saying, great visual storytelling, but like, the characters in this are great, the performances are great. Mufune is I'm assuming he's the Ronin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fantastic. Just not like a bad guy, but not necessarily a good guy either, and I can really appreciate that.
It's a guy that, like, he walks into, and there are Yojimbo is this movie. Sanjuro is a sequel to this film. I believe there's only one sequel. Is
it the same character then?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can assume, but like in this movie, they go, "What's your name?" And he says it's Sanjuro something because he's looking out at the field. A mulberry field,
yes.
And that means mulberry field.
Yes.
And so he never really has a name, but in the second film, it's called Sanjuro because he just takes that as his name.
I don't know off the top of my head what Yojimbo means.
It means
bodyguard.
Bodyguard.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep, that's what it means.
Okay. All right. Cool. But just like he just kicks everybody's butt. But it's like the sword fighting. It's great, but it's kind of like it's not like a lot of really realistic blood, which is fine. And it's like, but it's like he just slashes like somebody once and they're dead. You know what I mean?
It's quick. It's the kind of it's the kind of violence that like it isn't. It's not violence for no sake. It's the story elevates to a point where it can only be resolved with violence,
right?
And then the violence happens, and it's swift and blinding, and then we have to deal with the aftermath or the effects of the violence.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the whole thing where one of the crime lords, as a bargaining tool, has kidnapped this woman.
Yes.
And the movie does a great job of like filling you in as you go. There isn't like a ton of exposition. We go, who's this woman? And then a guy and a kid show up and go, no, mommy, or whatever. And then later on you learn like, oh, the guy who is ultimately in charge of the Gambler clan or whatever is in love with this woman who this guy who's like a farmer or whatever has got into debt with him and had to sell his wife to this guy, which is terrible.
Right.
And so they know she's a bargaining chip, so they put her in this house that's outside of town. And the Yojimbo is like, all right, well, let's go out there. And then he goes out there and he murders everybody. Just in 30 seconds, just kills everyone. And then comes back out and goes, all right, now get out of here. Here's your wife. Get out of here. And goes back in and then he goes like, oh, I'm going to stage this crime scene.
Yes.
Because he's been playing these guys off of each other, and currently he's like pretending to be like loyal to this guy.
Yes.
So everybody shows up and he's like, oh my God, check this out. Oh, what happened here? And so, like it's, the threat of violence is always there. There are other films that have like long running samurai battles with swords and stuff like that, but this isn't that necessarily. It's just like things are building up until okay, well, the solution to this is, cut the Gordian knot with a samurai sword,
Right.
kill a bunch of people, and then now what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens as a consequence of him doing that, saving that family,
Yes.
is that eventually the guy who he's working for is like, this guy's not working for us. And they capture him and beat the crap out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got like a new level of tension here. It's just like designed and built so well.
It is.
Off of that novel,
Yeah.
which has been made into a movie several times. Fistful of Dollars.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Bruce Willis version of it from the 90s called Last Man Standing.
Ha!
That is tries to, in its own way, cleave more to the 20s, 30s version of the original novel, where everybody has Tommy guns and hats and stuff like that. Yeah. The Coen Brothers should have done this. They did their own version of this with Miller's Crossing, but the Coen Brothers should have done Red Harvest.
Right.
It just had been already there. Oh, it's been done.
Right.
Japanese guy did it. It's
Right,
been done.
right.
We don't need to do this.
Right. Other thing I like about this movie so much is that the vast majority of the characters, even like the smaller parts, they're so fully realized, and they're so like
Well made up.
ridiculous and strange, and like everybody has their own internal life. You know what I mean? And like they have their own story, their own. I'm sure it just pops.
Yeah.
And I want to mention
It starts with a dog
carrying a severed hand.
with a severed hand in his mouth.
And it's like,
It's like-
well, this is a weird town.
All right. Well,
Stakes have been raised.
What's going to happen now?
Yeah.
How do I get out of here?
So one of the leaders of the gangs, I think it's the gambling gang, the leader has two younger brothers, and the youngest one of them is
Unoichi and Inoichi.
yeah,
Or whatever. Yeah.
And one of them is kind of dumb, and the other one is really violent and crazy.
Yep.
And both of them are really great. But the really violent and crazy one, he's almost got like, it works. It all works, but it's like almost too many affectations. But I think it all works. Like he kind of like tucks his hands inside his kimono, which Yojimbo does too, and like I think other people do as well. But he also like, it's very strange. He like holds up one side of his kimono with one of his hands.
Yeah.
It's very stylized.
Yeah.
And then he also just has a pistol that he's just waving around and shooting in everybody's face whenever the hell he gets a chance.
He's great.
But I was watching it and I was thinking, he comes across as being slightly more modern to me. I think it's because of the way they chose to do his hair. Because his hair is, while it's kind of long and back, it's short up front.
He's got a fringe. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody else's is pulled back.
Yeah.
So I think it just kind of comes across as looking more modern.
And yeah, I mean, he has a gun. This is,
Right.
this is a Sengoku film. Like, this is set in the time of the samurai, but it's definitely nearer the end of the time of the samurai, coming onto the Meiji period, where things will change a lot. That character is played by the actor Tatsuya Nadaki, who plays Ryunosuke in my favorite samurai film, Sword of Doom, which we will definitely do one day on this show.
Ooh,
And that's
enticing.
his desperate but blank stare, like his crazy but focused eyes,
Yeah.
is the entire that is the North Star of the Sword of Doom. And that is an amazing film, and we will definitely talk about that in the future on the show, but not today. What else?
I love the old man who I think we finally we learned his name at the end, but he's kind of a curmudgeon, but like
He's he's got an inn.
Yeah.
Or a bar or whatever. And he's just trying to give people a little sake, a little rice.
Yeah.
There's no business because everybody's killing each other.
Yeah.
And he's really upset about that. And
freaking coffin maker.
And the coffin maker keeps banging on the coffin. It's like, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like the crazy mayor who doesn't do anything and like except bang on his prayer drum, and then the most blood in the movie.
How much is David Milch indebted to Yojimbo with Deadwood?
Yeah.
Think of EB.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Think of the mayor
Yeah.
/ hotelier of Deadwood. And,
Warring gangs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is no Yojimbo in Deadwood.
No, there's no Yojimbo in Deadwood.
Instead, we have Bullock,
right?
Who
preserves law and order for the most part.
Yeah, but in his own way,
Yeah.
and he is a samurai of sorts.
Yeah.
He is a person who is he is committed to the rule of law, and we don't have that. And I'm not criticizing anything. It makes sense because the point of Yojimbo is that like law has broken down, and in this age, this quote unquote dark heroic age, the only thing left is a Ronin who like the Yojimbo, like Senjuro, who is why does he care? He cares in a weird way because when 30 men want to kill 30 other men, he sits up in the bell tower and is like, "Oh, this all right. Where's the popcorn?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has a weird way of trying to keep the peace or to make the justice. But in the Old West tale of Deadwood, it's a fight between like the rule of law, which is often represented by people like Stephen Tobolowsky, who is completely corrupt.
Right.
There is one man who wants to do what the quote unquote right thing, and then there's guys like Swearingen who is like, look, I want to do the right thing, but it's a thing where I'm going to slit a horse's throat sometimes. You know what I mean? Because like that's what's good for the community.
Right.
But like that doesn't exist in Yojimbo. It's just Sanjuro is like, I'm going to come out from the outside and like rate this town. 2 stars, not a great town.
2? Wow.
But well, hey, look, they got sake. But I'm gonna try to set things right.
Yeah.
But there is the only person that we see from the authorities in the government is the government guy that comes in and is Palanquin, and then he has tea, and then the guy comes out. The official bribe comes out. The guy comes out and get little bundle there, little bundle there, little bundle there, and the government officials all get their cut, and they just take off, and it's like, oh, we're getting no help here. Like you are the only guy.
Yeah. Well, I love how not only do they take their cut, it just slowly disappears up their
yeah, it's great.
Just like little things like that, it's just the way that it's stylized, I love to when Yojimbo first comes to town and he goes to the old man to get some food, and that's basically the biggest part of exposition. One of the biggest parts of exposition in the film, right? But it's done in a way that's interesting, right?
Well, we get exposition at the very beginning because the
that's
Yojimbo
true.
is just walking around and he comes on the farmer.
Yes.
And the farmer's like, things don't make sense anymore, and people only care about money. And the wife's like, whatever. And he's like,
she's
"What?
just weaving.
Give me a little water." And this is after we see him have a fight with his son, who runs off to the town.
To gamble.
And then that is closed up at the end when Yojimbo finally faces off against the gambler squad and kills everybody except the one kid, and that kid is the guy's son.
Oh, I didn't realize that's who it was. Okay,
and
that
he's
makes
like,
sense. Full circle.
Kids shouldn't play with swords.
Yeah.
Go eat gruel for the rest of your life. Get
Right.
out of here. Yeah.
He literally cries, "Mommy." That's pretty.
It's mommy. Yeah. It's a noir film, and here's how you know, because the protagonist has to get the crap kicked out of him, which happens.
It does.
And so our hero is beat to crap by the big guy, who, if this was a modern film, he'd have a face-off against the big guy.
Yes.
The big guy just kind of disappears in the fog of war, as the movie goes on. But
yeah, that's true. But he is huge.
Yeah, it's
He is a very large.
The Japanese
man.
Andre the Giant.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
But yeah,
is he the one who has the mallet and the very large, intimidating?
He's just got a big hammer.
Anime mallet.
Yeah.
Well, probably this inspired some animes to be like, we should have a large wooden mallet.
You know, a mallet was a legit weapon back then.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
I read an American Ninja magazine once.
Yeah.
And it talked about how one of the weapons of the ninja was a mallet, because you could do a lot of things with a mallet. You could destroy a bridge, which would help you get over water.
Yeah,
you could,
I can
if
see
you were
that.
strong enough, you could
It's a versatile
you could
tool.
just bust ass.
Yeah.
You could break through a wall.
I can see it. If you're a big guy, you want a big, heavy, two-handed weapon.
And that 7-foot tall guy was a big guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. We have the over a couple time lapse over a couple days. The Yojimbo returns to health, and then it's late in the film, but we established had to be some photographic techniques here, but we established his deadly accuracy with a sushi knife.
Yeah,
which
is
then he brings into
fantastic.
play because Ryunosuke, not his name in this movie, but it doesn't matter, is going to I'll just shoot you, and then throws the
right
thing
in the
out.
arm. I was
That's-
yes.
That's where the kunai comes out.
I know, right,
hits the guy
right.
in the arm. Yeah,
That's freaking fantastic. I loved it.
I want to mention fast
Loved
the music in this film, which has traditional elements,
Yeah.
but is almost jazz-like.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
there's a hi-hat that that happens
Yeah.
in the final fight, and it's just so. How did that get to Japan? Do you know what I mean? That's
We talked about that in Sailor New,
yeah,
right?
but it's like Samurai Champloo.
Yeah, I know,
The
right?
way that Samurai Champloo is like, we're going to do a late aughts samurai show that uses like 90s hip hop as its inspiration, and that isn't even original. You go, how original? No. Kurosawa was using jazz in
know.
his 1961 film.
I know.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It's great.
Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. There's a bunch of guys I have to kill first.
I know.
Yeah.
And then I love that, like, too, when he's like, I need you to go next door and order a coffin. And he's like, and he was like, no, I'm not. But then it's the rest of that line.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it's not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
But it's really good. Yeah, I kind of wish there were more women in it, but it's not really a women-focused story. So
No, there's women in Sword of Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're important too.
Okay.
So
Cool.
check that out. A film we're not actually covering soon.
It's future film. Yeah.
When COVideos goes live for itself.
We're live now.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Last thoughts.
I recommend both of these films.
Yeah, two bangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
I think we were saying, was it just last time? Gosh, I really want to watch some good films.
Yeah,
but-
thank God we got there.
Yeah, I know, right? So hopefully the trend will continue.
Hopefully it will, and support your local beavers. Come on, people. This is a real thing. The main beaver has been taken over by Bernie Sanders. Look out.
Oh, no.
All right.
Come on.
That's it.